in honor of Dabney Coleman, I'm going to talk about a movie that most people I've ever talked to about it don't remember it. Tell me if you do. So there was this movie from 1990 about two police officers who were partners. They were also friends. There was Ernie Dills and Bert Simpson. Now, Bert, our main character, he found out some news from the doctor that he had a very short time to live, 2 weeks, in fact. And he was devastated, obviously. And then he went home and decided that he wasn't going to tell his family. He was just going to try to live the best he can. He tried to savor every moment. And at some point, he learned that if he were to pass away on the job, that his family would collect a lot of money. But if he doesn't, then they don't get anything. So he starts going out on the job, and as a police officer, he goes out and he starts doing more and more daring things, and he's just trying his best to fulfill that because he knows he's going to die. So at one point in this movie, it's really funny because his partner ends up talking. He catches on that something's wrong. He starts talking to the doctor, and he actually gets to the point where he's like trying to ask him what's the doctor what's wrong with his partner. He says, "I can't tell you," and then he starts just grabbing files because back then there were physical files, so it's not like they're protected by a computer. So he starts grabbing files, and then the doctor eventually tells him, "Your partner's not going to live very long." And through that, through his partner finding out, which his partner, by the way, was played by Matt Frewer, another great actor from the 80s and 90s. Um, so that partner finds out through a series of events that it's not the same. He doesn't have the illness. Okay, the illness that was going to kill him. So here's let's go back. Bert Simpson finds out that he's got 2 weeks to live. But what he doesn't know at the time, and what the doctors don't know at the time, is that somebody switched blood samples right before the doctor checked his blood, which he thought was his blood. So this whole time, Bert Simpson has been going around thinking he's going to pass away, so he's been just doing all this crazy stuff when really he's never had that illness, so he wasn't dying. And at the very end, he finds out right in a super dangerous situation. Obviously, it was a fun 80s movie, or I guess 1990s, so 90s movie. So he lives, but Dabney Coleman played Bert Simpson. Terry Garr played his wife. Matt Frewer, like I said, Matt Frewer played his partner. It was a really fun movie. Like I liked it a lot, and I remember seeing different scenes where he was like driving at high speeds, trying to catch up with somebody who was on a high speed police chase, and he was just like flying on the road. He ended up going faster than the criminal at the time. Like he was doing all this funny stuff, thinking that it doesn't matter, and then it turns out that it does matter. Anyway, so I really liked this movie. I remember watching it as a little kid, and then I forgot the title of it. Short time. I forgot the title of it, and so I couldn't find it. And it wasn't as easy in the early mid '90s as it is now to find out what a movie's called. But for years, I would ask people, "Do you remember that movie with the cops, Bert and Ernie, who the Bert thought that he was going to die, and then he turns out that he didn't." Nobody ever remembered. It took me like years to figure out what the movie was. I'm terrible with titles. Anyway, Dabney Coleman, he just passed away recently on May 16th, 2024. He was 92 years old, and he's been in so many really good movies and TV shows, and he was always like, I remember him most from Short Time, but he was also in 9 to 5. He was in War Games, Cloak and Dagger. He was in Muppets Take Manhattan. Um, You've Got Mail, Inspector Gadget. And then there were some TV shows. He did an episode of Mary Tyler Moore. He was on the Love Boat in '78. He was in an episode of Different Strokes. He was in a bunch of episodes of Barnaby Jones. And most recently, in 2019, he was on the show Yellowstone. So for any of his friends, fans, followers, I personally offer my deepest condolences. He was 2 years old, so he lived a great life, and I really appreciate that he was able to do the movies and shows that he did. He was always fun and funny, and um, he will be missed. So if you remember this movie, do me a favor, give Short Time a rating on a scale from 1 to 22. 22 is the best. Also, tell me what do you remember Dabney Coleman from most? There's a bunch that I didn't mention, so feel free to share what movie you remember him most from, or what one you liked the best that he was in, or show. And in honor of him, I wish my deepest nostalgia rules.